So we have created this test module where you will be getting questions from the server, and you will be getting a page where you can actually see all the questions, right? So in fact, we will be saying only 5 questions. So when you say, hey, I want to give a test, it will give you 5 questions, and then again, as a viewer, you will answer those 5 questions, right? And at the end, when you submit, those questions will be going to the server for the verification. Now, what I will do now is let's run this code once again. Let's see if it is working or not. I will simply click on right-click, run on server. I already have a Tomcat server installed, so it will run locally and run finish. It will take some time to run, of course. We want to give test, right? And that's why we have created this thing which is called as test.htm. So when I request for test.htm, what I will get is, okay, I'm requesting for test.htm. It is taking some time, and in fact, I should be using this on a browser, right? Because Eclipse inbuilt browser is not that good, so I will use an external browser. I will prefer Safari here because I'm already using Chrome for something else. Oh, that's great. And then we'll request for test.htm. So this is what we have done last time. So as you can see, we are getting a question, and then we are also getting options. Now, which are the 4 basic features of OOPS? I know the answer. This is polymorphism. Oh, this is, okay. Any answer will do. Let's go for next. Java is designed by James Gosling. Next, how many types of errors? Oh, 3 types of errors. Compile time logical error and runtime error. Let's go for next. I don't know what's the answer for PPP. This is just demo questions, right? And Java application runs on JVM. When you click on end text, so what should happen when you click on end test? It should call a page which is result.jsp. Again, we have not returned. Now, how do you process these questions? As you can see, when you send a request and look at the address bar, we have created this address bar something like this. So when you send a request to the server, you have to send the question ID 1. So for question ID 1, the answer you have given is 3. For question ID 2, the answer you have given is 1. For the next question, you have given some answer. So everything is there in the address bar. Okay, so if I want to show you this address, so let me just copy this code. Let me go back to STS. Where is the STS? It's here. And in this STS, what I will do is I will just comment this section and let's put it here. So this is the request you are sending. The important part about this request is you are sending the question ID. You are sending all the question IDs with the answers, right? So as you can see, we got question ID 1, we have given the answer which is 3. For question ID 2, we have given the answer 1, and then so on. What I want to do now is I want to verify all these answers on the server. Now, how do you verify? It's actually very easy. First of all, I've made one more change in the table. So in the last time we have created the database as well, right? Now I just made some change here. Now if you remember, I don't know if you remember or not, if we talk about the database which we are using, so we were using Postgres database. Again, you can use MySQL or you can use SQL Server, your choice, right? But then here I'm using Postgres. Now inside this Postgres, as you can see, the last column, let's go over the first one. The first column is question ID, which will have the question number. Then we will be having the actual question. Then we will be having the options, first option, second option, third option, and then so on, the fourth option. Then we have answer. So answer initially was the text, which means, let's say for this particular question, the answer is James Gosling. So this one, in the answer section, you'll be having James Gosling. But then I made a change and I made it integer so that we can save the number there. So if your answer is first answer, you will say 1. If your answer is second answer, you will say 2. And that's how I have defined this answer column. Okay, now the point is, how do you verify all these answers? So this is what you are sending from the client machine to server machine, right? Now all the requests will be coming to this verify.html. Now if you remember, if you see the address bar, where is that? If you see the address bar, we are actually calling verify.html. Now when you call this verify.html, I'm passing all these parameters. As you can see, we are passing QID1, we are passing QID2, we are passing answer 1, we are passing answer 2. So what we can do here is we can accept all those values here. Now if you remember, in Spring or in Spring MVC, we have to use @controller, or we have to use @request parameter, right? Or request param. So when we use request param here, just imagine you're sending 10 variables. Of course, it will not be a good idea to send those 10 variables, right? The good thing would be, what if you can create a class here which will have these 10 variables? So let me just create that class. I will say in the entity package, I will say the class name would be quest because question is already done, right? So let me create a class called as quest. Now this quest class will have 10 variables, 5 question IDs and 5 answers. Okay, so how many variables I want? I want 10 variables. I got QID1, answer 1, QID2, answer 2, and then list goes on. So you can see we have 10 variables here, and for those 10 variables, of course, we have getters and setters, and at the end we also have toString method if you want to print, in case if you want to print somewhere. Now, okay, once we got this class, what next? See, all the questions which is all the question IDs and the answer which is coming from the client side, I want to assign those values here, right? Again, we could have used request param and we could have returned 10 variables there. But the best way to do here would be to use a model attribute. So we'll say model attribute. Oh, that's weird. Attribute. So we got model attribute, and let's create an object of quest. So I will say quest, quest. So I got an object of quest. So all these values, okay, all these values which is coming from the client side will be assigned to quest. Now we have to import the package for that. Let me just import the package for quest. So all the values which is coming from the client request, which is QID1, AnswerID1, will be assigned to this quest. Now what next? What you will do with this? It's actually very simple. Once you got this quest, we will verify this quest. But then how? How to verify this? So what I will do is, I will ask someone else to verify. So after verification, what I want this code. Example, let's say if I give a test for 5 questions, and out of those 5 questions, 3 or 2 questions were right. In that scenario, you have to give this code, right? So if 3 questions were right, you have to print 3. If 2 questions were right, you have to give the answer as 2. So a user expecting a result from you. So if you ask for 3 questions, or maybe if you ask for 5 questions, out of 5 questions, if 4 were right, you have to print 4, so that your user will know that you are printing, or you are giving, the user got 4 points. Now, how do you verify? So first of all, I'm expecting a score, right? So I will say that's the result. I want someone else to do this job for me. So I already have a question DAO. Now, if you remember, we have created this class called as question DAO, and in this question DAO, as you can see, we have a class called as question DAO here, and in this class we have certain methods. Now, in that, one of the method I want is verify. So what I will do here is I will say QDAO, that's the object of question DAO which we have already created. And again, don't worry, once the session gets over, maybe by tomorrow, I will be uploading this project on GitHub, so you can just clone this project from GitHub for you. Okay, so we got QDAO, which is QDAO, and then here we'll say QDAO.verify. Okay, so of course, to verify, we have to pass those parameters. I want it to verify. So what if we want to verify? We want to verify this quest object. So all these values, which is coming from the client side, is stored inside this quest. I just want to verify. If those questions or answers were right. So I'm passing that here, and I'm saying verify. But the problem is, we have not defined a verify yet. Okay, we have not defined the method verify here, right? How do we do that? How do you verify things? So what you can do is you can go to your question DAO, and let's define that method here. So which method we want? We want a method which is public. The method returns a int value, and we'll name this method as verify itself, which takes a quest object. So we'll say quest. So we got a method which takes which is a verify, which takes a quest object, and of course it will interact with the database. So we'll make it add transactional, as it will be interacting with database. So I will say add transactional. Okay. Now what I will do here is I will say int score. Now this is the variable where I have all the values, and will return score. Okay, that means if you run this code, of course it will give you 0. That's not what we want, right? No one expects to get an answer which is 0, right? So, a result as a 0. So what we have to do is, I'm sending this quest, right? I'm sending this quest, and it will return me the int value, which is result. I just want to print that result. Now, how do you provide a verification step here? Now again, this is a bit tricky to understand. Okay, so just be with me. Let's try to understand how do you verify if the answer was right or wrong. Now, normally, when you want to verify something, one of the best way is to use a select query. I mean, of course, right? If you want to interact with database, you have to file a select query. To file the select query, we have to create such an object, right? So first of all, we need this object. So I need a session object. I need a query object as well. In fact, we have seen this earlier, why we need these two objects. So we need session object so that you can use the current session since we are working with Hibernate here. Of course, you can do the same project in JDBC as well, but then using Hibernate provides you ORM concepts. And we were trying to implement new technologies here. So we have worked on AWS, we have worked on Spring, we have worked on Hibernate. So you are basically learning all new technologies. So maybe if you're going for the interviews in future, you'll be a bit confident after watching all these videos, right? Okay, so yeah, so we got the native query and we got the session, but then this is not the query which I want. I want a different query. So let me just define that query here. Now what query I want? Now this query is actually very important because this query will define how to check if our answer is right or wrong. So the query I'll be using here is, I will say select star. I'm using SQL query, okay? Now, I'm not using HQL query here is because, I mean, you can use HQL, but then I'm keeping it that to you. How do you make this as HQL query? But let me just use SQL query here. So I'll just select star from question, that's the table we have, where QID is equal to 1. I mean, let me just give a static values here, and answer is equal to maybe 2. See, if this works, if you execute this query, if this query returns you a column, or if this query returns you the data, it means the answer is right. Let me just go with this. If you fire this query, okay, why don't we just try this? Okay, well, let's try this in Postgres itself. So let me just go to Postgres. As you can see, we got the data here. Let me just go back here and say tools. Okay, tools and query tool. Oh, so copy paste doesn't work here. So we'll say select star from question where your question ID, so which is your QID, is equal to 1 and your answer is equal to 1 again. I'm not sure if the answer is right. So as you can see, if I run this code, there is an error because answer is in string format. Unfortunately, I have made it string. It should be integer, I know. So as you can see, the question number 1, answer is not 1, and that's why it's not working. Okay, but then if I change the answer to 2, I guess the answer is 2. Let's try. No, the answer is not 2. The answer is 3 because I have to check that answer. We can also verify the answer, right? We have that answer here. So question number 1 has the answer which is 3. As you can see, if I run this query now, you can see we got data. That means when you get data, the answer is right. When you don't get the data, the answer is wrong. It's that simple, right? So when you fire this query, if you are getting some data, that means your answer is right. If you don't get data, your answer is wrong. We can implement the same concept in Spring. Again, the normal way would be fetch all the questions from the database, fetch all the answers, and then check each and every one. What happens is when you fetch all the questions from the database and when you send it to your application, it will take lots of time, right? You are wasting lots of time if you want to verify these answers by Java code. It's always better to verify the answer using SQL query because it will not take much time compared to Java code. Okay, so this is the query I want to fire. So I will replace this thing with a SQL query here, which is SQL. But then we have one issue. See, I'm not getting 1 and 2 from the client, right? I'm getting 5 questions and 5 answers. How do you make this work? So time being, let's go with this one statement, and later we'll replace this thing with multiple queries. So the question ID is 1, answer is 3. Now what next? If I fire this query, what should happen? It should return you the question column, right? It should return you the question object. And it will return only one object, it will not return multiple objects. So I will say unique result because unique result will give you only one row, and we are not expecting multiple rows here. It will return you only one row. Now where to store that object? So when you say unique results, I don't know how many of you are revised your Hibernate concepts here, But then when you say unique results, it will give you only one row, and you can store that in a question. So let's say question Q equal to unique result. And then let's print this question. Let me just print that question. So now I don't know what will happen. Let's run this code. Let's see what happens. To run this code, of course, I will restart the server. I will go back to my Safari to see the output. And okay, let me directly say enter here because I already have answered all the questions, right? So it will take some time. Let's wait for that time. And it's working, it's working, it's working, it's working. It's taking some time. Come on. Give me the answer. Oh, we got an error. That's weird. Okay, we got an error because I've just made a mistake here. This 3 should be enclosed in single quote, right? So let's run this once again. Let's go back to our browser and let's say enter. And okay, as you can see, we got result page, but then we have not got this code. That's a different thing, right? Let's go back to our code and let's see what is there. So if you see this, oh, verify is not called. Oh, is it called? Oh, it is called. Can you see that? We got a question here. So we are printing the question ID. So that means when you print Q here, it is actually printing the entire question. But then what if you give the wrong answer? Let's say if the answer you have given is 2. So for question ID 1, the answer which you are giving is 2. Now what will happen? Let's run this code just to understand what is happening. Let me just restart the server. Okay, let's say enter now once again. And as you can see, it is working. And okay, we got the output, but the output this time is null. That means when your answer is right, it will give you the object of question. When your answer is wrong, it will give you null. And that's our benchmark, right? That's we got a logic here. So what we can do is, you can check, actually you can maintain a score. So whenever your question, I mean, of course, you have to verify 5 questions, right? Not 1 question. We have to first do that. Now, how do you run this 5 times? It's very easy. Whenever you say you need to do something repeatedly, the best thing we could use here is a for loop. So we can use a for loop. We can say int I equal to 0, and then we'll say int less than 5 and I plus plus. Okay, so we are running a code here. So this will be run 5 times. And every time you run this code, yes, Gautam, I'm doing this from scratch. Okay, so we got a question there. So we got question Q equal to query.unique results. Now, how do you verify? So what we'll do, okay, first of all, I cannot write 1 here, right? I have to mention the question ID. Oh, that's a difficult part now. How can I get question IDs from Quest? That's one of the issue. Oh, how can we do that? So see, the problem here is just try to understand this. We got all the question IDs and the answer inside Quest, right, which is an object. How can you pass those things inside the query? Because I want to execute this query 5 times with different values. So I don't know. There are different ways of doing this. If you have some other better way, just let me know. One of the way which I can do here is I can create a QID array, which will be a static array for me, and this array will have all the questions. So I will say, okay, instead of typing this code, I have already written this code. Let me just copy that. Let me create 2 arrays here, one for questions and one for answers. Okay, and let me just paste that here. Okay, we got a point from. Okay, so you can see I've got all the question IDs and all the answers. So this question ID array will have all the questions from 1 to 5, and this answer will have all the answers which our user has given. So I'm fetching those questions using question ID 1, question ID 2, and then it goes on. Again, you can see this code and you will understand what I'm doing. Now, once I got everything in these question IDs and answers, what I can do here is I can just verify. How can you verify? I can replace this QID with, oh, there will be a Java code, right? So we have to put QID. I just hope you are good with concatenation, because I'm doing concatenation here. And then this answer will be having, so instead of this 2, I have to write answer of I. Now I got this query, and I will be running this query how many times? 5 times, right? and every time it will give you question object. Sometime it will give you null when your answer is wrong. It will give you null if your answer is wrong. It will give you object of question if your answer is right. So I will just check if question is not equal to null. In that scenario, increment the value of score, because the default value for score is 0. I will just increment the value of score if your question is not null, and that's it. At the end, I will return the score. I don't want to print this object every time. So as you can see, if my answer is right, it will increment the score, and that's what we want, right? We wanted the score. So this verify is returning you a int value. Let's go back to question controller, and here I'm accepting that int. Now I have to add that int in mv object. So I will say mv dot add object. I want to set this code, right? So I will say add object. Oh, where is mv? Mv is down here. So I will say mv dot add object, and in this add object I will say I want to send a result, and this result would be stored in result itself. So the caption would be result and the value is also result. Okay, so we got the result here, right? And then in the result.jsp, I want to print that thing. So I've already created this result.jsp. Again, design is not that good, as you can see. We have already seen the design page. The result page is not that good. But then that's not the important stuff for me, at least now. So I want to print a result here, and then also want to print the percentage. Example, if you score 1 out of 5, the percentage is 20. If you score 2 out of 5, the percentage is 40. So in that case, I want to send one more thing. I want to also send the percentage of the person. So I will say mv.addObject. I will send the percentage as percent, and I will be sending a percentage. Now, how do you calculate a percentage? It's very easy in this case. I will simply say result into 20. So if you score 1, the percentage will be directly 20. Just hope for the best. Let's say enter. And here we go. Can you see that we got 5? Oh, that means all the answers which I have ticked are right. That's weird. Let me just tick the wrong answer now. Oh, that was really weird. How can I get all right answers? Let me just go for wrong answers now. Let me just go for one right answer. I don't know about other answers here. Oh, can you see that we got a different value now because I have answered only one right answer. So this thing is working. So we have asked for 5 questions, and then we have verified that, and it is working, right? So cheers, the code is working, the test is working, we got the result page. Now what I want from you as a help, I'm asking you from a long time, I don't know when you will support this. See, this should be a two-way process, right? If you are getting something from this type of sessions, I want something from you as well. So I'm expecting a good design for this page. Of course, no one will like this type of design, right? So please provide me a good design for this. You know what to do, right? You have to create a result page in which you just have to provide. In fact, I'll be sharing this code on GitHub, and you can just pull this project from GitHub and make the changes on the design page and send it to us. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing here. So yeah, that's it. We have worked on result page today in the STS, as you can see. Again, we have done the coding here, and let me just show you the DAO page, which is this. So inside DAO, this is the code we have written. Okay, so this is our agenda for today. Now next session would be maybe in next 2 to 3 days. To get the updates, you have to be a part of Facebook group. So if you're not there on the Facebook group, just make sure you send a join request on Facebook group. So on Facebook, search for Telusko Live project, and just make sure that you add yourself there.